ago next month was the first time I stood in this pulpit. And I cannot thank Steve enough for trusting me enough and asking me to preach in his absence. He had hoped to be here in worship, but it appears he was not able to be here today. When he learned that I too was going to have a medical procedure, he called and offered to take me off the hook, and I said, "Don't you dare." I'd already told him it took a lot of golf for him to ask me. But anyway, it is such a privilege to be here. And I have been looking back, as is my custom these days, and I know that if you try to drive by steering through the rearview mirror, you're going to wind up in a ditch, so I try not to do that entirely. But I've been preaching for more than 60 years. And like the commercial says, I know a few things because I've seen a few things. And one of the things I've learned is that St. Francis was exactly right when he said that we should preach constantly and use words only when necessary. But unfortunately, in our tradition and the training that I've had and the call of ministry, which most of us recognize, includes being a preacher. So I've always struggled with how do words convey the reality that I'm looking for. Just this morning, just as the choir was waiting downstairs, and Anna, I'd asked Anna if she could feel the movement of her daughter in coming, and she labeled, yes, she's kicked it, and it's feeling the kick, and Dee Dee came up and agreed, and Becky agreed, and I said, well, you know, that's something I've never experienced. And Becky's reply was, and never will. But words cannot describe it. And isn't that true of so much of life? Words are the instrument, or what we try to use to convey what is in our heart and in our mind. And it's, to me, communication is a miracle. That I can look at some squiggles of ink on a page, and it enters my eye and touches my brain and comes out my mouth and it's translated into vibrations, and sometimes they meet your ears and they translate a word, a thought into your mind. But in all of those translations, there's many a slip. There's always something lost in the translation. And I remember vividly early in my ministry when I made the mistake of observing a true statement that this was a throwaway remark, not important in my sermon, but that in the scripture all the angels are men. No, that's a true statement. But the next morning, one of the dear souls was in my office letting me know in no uncertain terms that I'd said women couldn't be angels. Well, you know, there was a little slip in the translation. And nowhere is this more evident than in trying to describe God. Every so often, including in the anthem the choir sang this morning, we have relabeled and changed the lyrics somewhat because so much of the music of the church and so much of the liturgy of the church refers to God using a male program. But some people have rightly objected, and for the last 20 or 30 years, we have tried to be more inclusive in our language, and that's a very valid concern. But English is limited because we don't have any gender-neutral pronouns. I don't think we want to call God it. I know when I was writing on my doctorate, I tried to be sensitive to what the new standards were and be inclusive in my language, and so I decided that when I was going to refer to God using the pronoun, I would have a capital S and a capital H and a small c, small e. So it could be read either as she or he. But that's not very satisfactory to anybody. And today is World Refugee Sunday, and honestly, I didn't know that when I started preparing my sermon, but it was so appropriate. Look at the languages on the bulletin cover. Now, I can only read one of them. But the reality is that the word does not convey all that which it symbolizes means. And so whether we call God Yahweh, or El, or Elohim, or Allah, or Deus, or Theos, or all of these, they do not exhaust what God is. And it is understanding who God is that motivates most of my preaching and most of our study in religion and in faith. Who is God? Now, Paul wrote a letter to the churches of Galatia, and it's a little different than any of the other letters that Paul wrote. It's not to a specific congregation, it's to a province, the province of Galatia in central, what is now Turkey. And it's, the book of Acts describes how Paul was worked in 3 communities in that region. We don't know of any others, and they don't go into any detail of how many converts he had accomplished and so on. So realistically, this was a letter to 3 churches, perhaps only 3 churches, to maybe a dozen or a couple of dozen or maybe 3 dozen believers in the midst of their struggle with what does God require. I love Dee Dee's children's moment today. She made some of the points of my sermon that there was a time when some people said, well, God don't love you if you don't eat the right food and wear the right clothes and do all these things. And Paul had come to Galatia and to the other churches of the Mediterranean saying that God loves you. And you don't have to follow all these human developments. And so he wrote these letters, and this is the part that I'm going to read. Through absolute trust that all of you are God's children in union with Christ. You were baptized into union with Christ, and now you are clothed, so to speak, with the life of Christ himself. So there is no difference between Jews and Gentiles, between enslaved people and free people, between men and women. You are all one in union with Christ Jesus. If you belong to Christ, then you are descendants of Abraham and will receive what God has promised. Now, 3 quick points. I hope they'll quick. Because God is who God is, there's no difference in who we are. Now, Paul listed some of the division marks in the communities of the Mediterranean and the struggle between the Jewish heritage and the pagan heritages, the whole variety of understandings of where God is and how God works. In our time, we have come up with a whole lot more ways to divide our communities. Are you male or female? That's sort of beyond loved Dee Dee's teaching you a song, because the scientists indicate that things that we learn in singing, that we learn in music, enter both halves of our brain, both the rational and the emotional. And so people with brain damage and strokes and that sort of thing often remember songs. And we've experienced that when the carolers went to see Joe Gray, and he lost the capacity to speak, but he could sing the songs. And so because she taught us a song, every color, every size, they are precious in God's eyes. You'll remember that. What Jesus was talking about was love. Because God is who God is, God has created all. God is described in the early chapters of Genesis. God looked at all that He created and said, "That's good." And then when He created, see, I used the He, sorry about that. When he created humankind, male and female, God said, "That's very good." God loves us. Just as a mother and a father, most of the time, love the children produced by their love. God loved us. And because God is who God is, there's no difference in who we are. Second point, because of what God has done, nothing we can do will take us beyond the love of God. The Gospel of John, a golden verse that we all can remember. God so loved the world that He gave His only Son, that whoever believes in Him should not perish but have everlasting life. But we so often miss the next verse, John 3:17. God did not send the Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save it. Because God loves us. The Greek word, I don't know the Aramaic that Jesus probably used, but the Greek word translated judged, or can be either judged or condemned. And these are two very different translations in their meaning. When we talk about how we should view other people, that's one thing to judge other people, but to condemn them, that's a little different meaning. And what Jesus is warning us about, I think, is that if you condemn people, you will be condemned by the same standard. And who of us wants to be judged by the same standards with which we judge those that we don't like? God so loved the world. Paul, in his letter to the Corinthians, says in a very familiar passage that many of us can quote, God in Christ was reconciling the whole world to Himself and giving to us the ministry of reconciliation. I love the Good News Translation, which is translation that I prefer. It was done for people for whom English is a second language. And this includes a growing number all around the world of people that are learning English in the context of business or trade or communication. And what does the word reconcile mean? Well, if you learned English in a business school, it may have something that you try to do in your checkbook every month. But the Good News translates it, God in Christ was making friends of all people and giving us the task of making friends. those around us. In my first church in seminary, a wonderful church at Point Pleasant, I know some of you heard me talk about the lovely people there. There was an old widower blacksmith that lived right across the road from the parsonage. And Sylvan didn't come to church very often, as it is a rare occasion. But he watched over the parsonage like a hawk. And anytime a stranger came, if he saw a strange car in the driveway or if he saw somebody at the door, and particularly when I was off at school in Lexington and Patty was there with the children, pretty soon here comes Sylvan just to make sure everything's okay. One day I was talking to Sylvan and he talked about, in rather judgmental terms, some of the other people in the community. And so I cautioned him. I said, no, Jesus said you shall not judge. He said, yeah, but we're told to be fruit inspectors. By their fruits you will know them. How will people know that we have heard the message that God loves us? Are they likely to know that if we say, oh, well, if you consider your partner differently than I consider my partner, whoever he or she may be? Oh, if you're different than me, that's not the fruit of the Spirit. That's not the fruit of love. Is it the fruit of love to take children away from their parents in an attempt to close the border? Many in our society claim that we are a Christian nation, and some would want to make that the official religion, and fail to understand that any time that faith relies on the power, the force of the state, both the state and the religion suffer. Faith is our response, and it is individual, and it is personal, and it is lasting. How do they know we are Christians? Our love. Several years ago, at a meeting of the General Assembly of the Christian Church, a very fine, very outstanding minister of our denomination had introduced a resolution calling for all disciple ministers to refuse to conduct an interracial marriage. This was in 1964, as I believe. It's not that long ago. And there was some discussion, and some talked about the difficulties that the children of an interracial marriage might suffer. And sitting not far from where we were sitting up in the balcony was a African-American woman who was one of the finest ambassadors for Christ. And the memories of how we treated her, it's hard for me to tell this. But after this discussion, Rose Page stood up, went to the mic, and said, I know why some of you people support this resolution. Because you don't want your grandchildren treated the way you've treated us. You can pass it or not. But one thing you can do, you can't make me stop loving you. That's the voice of God. Because God is who God is, it doesn't matter who we are. because of what God has done. What we do must bear fruit. And how will they know we're Christians? I'd almost decided in preparation to change the communion hymn to that familiar tune, because you'd be able to sing the sermon back to me if you listen to the words and so on. But then I sang to myself, and the choir practiced the communion hymn in the bulletin, and it is not familiar to all of us, but it is a full statement of the gospel. And so I'm going to ask all of you. I know some of you prefer not to sing, some of you may, in fact, be tone deaf, I don't know. Some of you may get the words wrong, may get the tune wrong. But I want everybody to read the words of the communion hymn while the rest of us play, sing it. And so let us come to share the Lord. Read the words. We